behind me is my 2016 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350, and under the hood, powering this car is a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated flat plane crank V8 that produces 526 horsepower and revs to 8,250 RPMs. And this engine is a ticking time bomb. So let's talk about it. Hey everybody, how's it going? Dom from Formal Debut here, and on today's show we are going to talk about a huge topic, Shelby GT350 engine failures. In this video I'm going to give you everything you guys need to know about the engine failures on these cars, to dispel a few myths, and we're going to talk about ways you can potentially prevent massive catastrophic damage to your engine, as well as saving your pocketbook a little bit. Very, very expensive repair. It is somewhat well known in the GT350 world that these 5.2-liter Voodoo engines are prone to catastrophic engine failure. They can be prone to spun bearings and all kinds of other different issues. Now, Ford themselves have never actually admitted to it. They've never released any type of TSB about engine failure or oil consumption or anything like that. It's kind of a known thing in the world of the owners of these cars. So let's go ahead and talk about what causes the engine failure on these. The most common causes of engine failures on the GT350, whether that be a Gen 1 Voodoo from 15 up until 18, or a Gen 2 Voodoo from 19 to 20, oil starvation. That is the biggest problem that causes spun bearings. It causes just general lack of lubrication to the engine and causes engine failure. It is also known that these cars have issues with oil consumption. They tend to drink a lot of oil. The reason for that is these engines, these 5.2 liters, are not just a bored out coyote that they put in this car. It has a flat plane crank engine. It is basically a racing engine put in a street car. So you guys have to be aware of that. Now, if you look through the owner's manual for this vehicle, it will tell you that Ford considers a quart of oil every 500 miles to be normal oil consumption for this engine. Oil consumption, it's one of those situations where it just kind of is what it is, and you just gotta have to deal with it. Now, the third reason for engine failures on these cars is the oil filter. It is known that if you do not torque these oil filters properly, they can loosen up at high engine RPM due to the excessive vibration caused by the flat plane crank. They can actually back off of the engine and fall off of the engine entirely. You lose all your oil, lose all oil pressure, and you have a catastrophic engine failure, or worse, a fire. It has been known in the past where the oil filter has fallen off of these, the oil spilled onto the very hot exhaust manifold and caused the car to basically burn to the ground. That is the third big cause of engine failure on the GT350, is that oil filter not being torqued properly, causing it to fall off, causing you to lose all of your oil. What does that mean? Does that mean you should run away from one of these cars, never buy one, it's just going to explode on you? Absolutely not. Not every car is going to have the problem with oil consumption. I check the oil on this car every time I fill up with gas. It hasn't consumed any oil. You're not guaranteed to get an oil consumption issue just by having this 5.2-liter engine. It's not a guarantee, but it is something you need to keep an eye on. Let's talk about ways that you can avoid having your engine blow up on your Shelby GT350 if you own one or you're thinking about owning one. Number one, biggest, most important thing you can possibly do, make sure you're doing regular oil changes. If you're not changing your oil on a regular schedule, that is just going to make the problem that much worse. Make sure you are doing regular oil changes and you're using factory recommended oil as well as the OE oil filter. Do not use any aftermarket oil filters. These filters are designed for these cars and they have Loctite on the threads. They are designed to be put on these engines. So make sure you're using the proper oil. I would recommend from Ford or a reputable manufacturer, use the factory oil filter. Make sure you're doing regular oil changes. It takes 10 quarts of 5W50 oil, and I believe it's an FL 2069 oil filter. Number two, make sure you are regularly checking the engine oil level. Most vehicles' owner's manuals will tell you to check the oil every time you fill up with gas. That is a little excessive for most every car. Not for this one. Absolutely, I would check the engine oil on a weekly basis. Make sure it is full. Make sure you're not losing any oil. If you are losing oil, top it off. Make sure you always have oil full, because again, that causes lack of lubrications and that causes a lot of what we've seen when it comes to spun bearings, broken connecting rods and everything else, catastrophic engine damage. So absolutely make sure you're checking your oil. Another big thing you can do is make sure you warm these cars up before you start driving or before you do any spirited driving. 5W50 oil is very, very thick, and when it is cold, it is incredibly thick. When this car cold starts in the morning, you'll see oil pressures of up to 100 PSI at a cold idle. So super, super high oil pressure. It's not good for the oil pump gear. And if you're romping on it really hard, all the way up to 8,500 RPM, the oil is so thick that it's not getting to all of the top end engine components to lubricate and properly, do what oil does: lubricate, clean, and protect your engine components. So make sure you get the oil nice and warm before you start driving or before you start beating really hard on the car. I'd recommend anywhere from 150 to 200 degrees of oil temperature before you start driving. Luckily in this car, right in the center stack, there are 2 gauges. One of them is oil pressure and one of them is oil temperature. Make sure that oil temperature is warmed up before you start giving it the beans. And last and final thing you can do to prevent engine failures is making sure that that oil filter, when you do an oil change, if you do it yourself or if you have a trusted shop that'll do it, make sure that that oil filter is torqued to proper spec. The Motorcraft oil filter, it'll have a sticker on the very top that has a Shelby logo, and it says torque to 16 to 18 foot-pounds of torque. It is very specific and it is very, very true. Make sure you are torquing that oil filter properly. With every other car in existence, it's usually just tighten it by hand. If you do that on this car, you will have a very good chance of that oil filter falling off. So make sure you torque that oil filter properly. You can do that with one of these. This is a oil filter cup or oil filter socket adapter that you can buy. I bought this on latemodelrestoration.com. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can buy this. This is the oil filter cup that is specifically for the GT350 spin-on oil filters. This was such a problem that mid-2018, Ford changed the oil filter design for the GT350 and went to a cartridge-style filter, but you can still get these oil filter cups pretty readily. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description to LMR where I got this from. It's fairly inexpensive, 20, 30 bucks shipped. And make sure you're using this with every oil change. Put that filter cup on the filter. Make sure you're torquing it to proper spec. This is a must-have tool for any GT350 owner. Now, originally when these cars came out, the oil filter problem was so bad that Ford sent a new owner's supplement that came with a info card about torquing the oil filter, as well as a branded and numbered Shelby oil filter adapter. I don't have one of those, and if you're a second owner, you probably won't have one of those, but you can pick these filter cups up pretty readily online, and again, I'll leave the link in the description to where you can find one. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Like this video, go down and hit the like button, hit the share button, and tell your friends. If you like content like this, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you get notified when we post a new video. If you're looking for car detailing products and tools, go down to the link in the description. Formal Debut Shop at formaldebushop.com. Pick up anything you might need over there. And as always, for Formal Debut Detailing, my name is Dom, and I'll see you guys on the next one.